And so then I was like, no, doctor, I don't know how you're checking it if both your hands are on my shoulder. I mean,
what was funny,
everyone, we're live.
Wait, I was just going to tell you about my rectal thermometer experience, but since you brought it up, I mean,
what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Bangkok Strange. We switched up the live days today, and the timing, not the day, depending on where you are. Mike was flying back from, were you Phuket, Mike?
I was coming back from Phuket, yeah. But actually, let's be clear. I'm still traveling.
Right now. Yeah, he's literally here for like 12 hours.
Traveling right now. Actually, yeah. So it's 6. Yeah. So like literally 12 hours from now, I will be leaving my condo.
So Saturday we'll find out where he's coming from.
Yeah. Well, do you want me to tell you what I'm going to do? I mean, I've got pants on, so I can talk appropriately. So what I've decided to do, because I'm using the Air Asia thing, right? And so the last day I can fly is December 17th, and therefore tomorrow is December 17th. So I'm going to cruise down to Surat Thani. I was thinking about going to Krabi, but then I figured, the comedy almost writes itself for that, so I figured I'd blow it off. But I'm going to Surat Thani, and what I have done, I've reserved the car for 1 week, and with a drop off in Phuket. So I'm going to go from Surat Thani. I think I'm going to go east to the hell's all the way east there. I could look it up on the map, but I can't remember. Anyway, go there for like 1 day, and then drive down south, and then take like that car ferry thingy boat. It's not like a big ferry; it's more like a little, and go over to Koh Lanta, and then they have these condos. They have these bungalows on the beach that are normally 3,400 baht, and they just sent me a message, and I will definitely give you the right number, but I think she told me it was like 700 and something. Yeah, 750 a night. And it doesn't include breakfast because their restaurant's not open, but it's a 1-bedroom air-conditioned bungalow, like right on the beach.
Nice.
And so that's in Koh Lanta. That's on the west side of Koh Lanta. So I'm going to hang out there, and then at the end of the day, all I really have to sort of do is be at the Phuket airport 1 week from tomorrow. To drop it off. And I got this smoking deal with Hertz. It's like, and I got the ridiculous insurance because, of course, I don't have insurance, right? So it's not like I can apply. So I got everything. And I think it's, for a week, I think it's 7,400 baht.
So you're just going to drive it into the beach and then toss them the keys when you get back?
Yeah, I'm just going to back it right in. I'm just going to say, you know what, dude, here's the keys. Screw you, people.
Shout out Patong Beach.
Actually, you know what I'll do is I'll be like, hey, I'm American. So go kiss me.
That always goes over so well.
Yeah. Let's talk to Daniel.
We got Daniel Nets in the chat. What's going on, my man? Board Nomad Productions. How you doing?
He's great.
Doorman. The Doorman. Todd. What's up? New York Hardcore. Not just hardcore. New York Hardcore.
New York Hardcore. And he's down in Phuket, too.
Yeah, he's living down there, right? Is that he's in
6-month lease? Process? Yeah. He's got a 6-month lease on a condo in Caron.
Nice. So you were down in Phuket. Great air quality down in Phuket. The last 2 days, today's not as bad. It's below 90. But last 2 days were like 160, 190. So you missed like our first hazy days of the season.
Okay, so what is it right now? It's December. When were Gracie and I in Bangkok? Oh, December 30th or 31st is when we first got here. 30th. Which is why we came, because even though I didn't know you yet, I was like, for some reason there's like fireworks.
The Canadian Embassy could be listening. We've known each other for years.
Precisely, yeah, as it turns out. And you know a lot about me, as it turns because my background.
Eye colors, hair color. When they asked hair color, I did almost lose it.
Because did you say something like, come on, dude, is this a trick question?
Yeah, I was like, he's bald, right? I mean,
right.
I've seen other parts of his body that have hair. Do you want me to answer what color those are?
Yeah, you mean the color of the
eye guy? He's like
on his nutsack?
Yeah. So the air quality, right, is this part of the year we start to get the winds die down in Bangkok, and we get this sort of industrial air from other parts of Asia trapped in central Thailand. It really does mess up the AQI. This is quite different than burning season.
Yeah. Do you use something like this?
I use Air Visual is what I run on my
you got an app?
Yeah, I've got an app. I use Air Visual, and there's another one I run on my watch. So when I look at my watch, the watch face I have set up my Apple Watch tells me what the UV index is and the AQI in the top two corners.
And what do you have for AQI right now?
Right now, 73.
Okay, so I have 70, which is actually an average. Sorry, an average of like all of Bangkok. Because if you look at it, wait, how do I, dude?
Yeah, there are certain areas where it's definitely worse.
Yeah, there's like a map. It's like it's 92 over in Klong Toi.
Yeah,
Anyway,
so it can like spike up, go down, depends on where you're at. But we'll struggle with this for like about a month. On we'll get like waves of it. And I remember when I lived in Monterey, and I could see in Monterey Peninsula, Monterey condo, and I was in the top 2 floors. When I would look out in the morning, I could see it like blanketing the city.
were you ever
And it
high
was,
enough where it was like below you?
floors 24 and 25, so not
Mm,
really.
okay.
Like, you probably have to be like another 20 floors up, 30 floors up to really be above it, I guess.
I wonder if you could do that in what is it, the Mahanakan building?
Mahanakan,
The Twisted. That would be kind of neat to see that.
Oh, we got Hugh in the chat. What's going on, Hugh?
Q, thank you for your comments, by the way. I don't know if you saw, it's not a requirement that you follow me, but it's on my channel, my gratitude attack that I had a few days ago.
I saw you turn comments back on your videos, though.
I did. I'm holding potentially inappropriate comments as the drop down. I think what was nice is that like the break that I took for whatever reason, like I'm getting a lot less views, which is spectacular. But like the people that watch are the ones that I kind of want.
Yeah.
It's like the other people that I hope they lost interest and went off and did their own little
Haters are always gonna
fondling
hate.
of
They'll be
children.
back.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know. Good. Here's the good news about having a YouTube channel, Mike.
Yeah, you like being criticized and all the little things, like irrelevant things being brought out and amplified. Great place to do it.
You know what's crazy? So I have like 1,800 subs, and the way that they rate you in radio, right, is that they rate you every quarter hour. So every 15 minutes, how many people listen to you? And I would get anywhere from, if it was a really like, because it was San Diego's, and we used to do like outdoor stuff. So it was really sunny, and we had a lot of outdoor events or whatever. I'd get like maybe 25 to 35,000 people listening every quarter hour. On average, I would get about 10,000.
What time of day?
So that was on the weekends, which was 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And unfortunately, they don't rate you when I was doing the midnight to 6 a.m. shift. There's no ratings in that period, so you don't really know. But they extrapolate it and they say, yeah, probably anywhere from like 1,500 to 5,000 because it's the overnight guys who are like working third shift. But on the weekends, and never did I get any, even like a 1% of the nonsense that is available with YouTube.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, I mean, it'd be like what people like. You have to really put effort in to do it on the radio, right? So,
okay, yeah. And to be fair, back then there wasn't social media, right?
Yeah.
So the way that they would have to do it is call you and like harass you and stuff, and that happened usually with girls, which I don't understand, but whatever.
Yeah, but you have to call, wait. Like you have to really be committed. On YouTube, it's like anonymous and fast for most people. Right? They've got like fake accounts, so they can just leave comments. It's random bullshit.
Hugh's got a pot of tea at 4 a.m. Look at him there. Nice work.
Maybe it's a sleepy time tea. Which was it? Celestial Seasons. I had a cup of that the other night. It actually relaxes you quite nicely.
Chamomile.
It's got chamomile in it, and then some other stuff. It's quite nice when you drink it, but it definitely is like a relaxing tea to drink at night.
It's the point, right? That and heroin, really. Yeah. I mean, either one, six of one.
A little bit of that, a little bit of heroin. It's kind of like an anti-speedball, right?
You're open-minded.
Yeah, it's a tar ball. Slows you down. But yeah, the air quality, like I said, it's been at least the past 4 years where this smog has been really bad here in Bangkok.
What are they attributed to?
Cars, but then also like industrial byproduct from China that gets blown into Thailand. And
all the way down here?
Yeah, that's a big
China, doesn't it? Doesn't it like make it over the mountains or something?
This time of year, if you look at the wind maps, for whatever reason, the wind right around central Thailand just dies down.
Interesting.
I remember probably must have been 4 or 5 years ago. Jib and I went to Penang in Malaysia, and the AQI when we left here, the AQI was like maybe 180, and we got to Malaysia, and if it was Penang where we went somewhere. It might have been Phuket, but it was an island, and we got there, and it was AQI of like 2. And
Oh yeah, no,
the
totally.
difference. So you take a breath, you're just like, wow, that's amazing.
This
You know,
exists. Yeah, I
yeah.
know.
And like my friends who live in Kota Kinabalu, their AQI is their worst days are like 25, except
Yeah,
for when they burn the jungles on in Indonesia in Kalimantan. Then it will spike up, but that's like a day or two for them. They don't get it as bad as the peninsula.
yeah. I mean, honestly, I mean, I got into Los Angeles, right? I mean, probably some of the worst air I've ever been in was Mexico City.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it looks, but like, our buddy, right? So, for example, he sends me a message, and he's really sensitive to it. Apparently, like his eyes water, and like he can feel it in his skin. Knit by Jib,
Yeah.
dude. Oh my God, how popular are we now?
Thumbnail there.
Oh, that's so nice. Did she actually knit that herself?
Yeah, it's crochet, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So she's
Self-portrait?
construction sites are causing PM 2.5 as well.
Making what? Tires? Oh God, that must pollute the air like a mother.
I wonder if there was a place in America that had like a tire fire going on for like 30 years. I wonder if there's anything like that here.
In America? Really?
So there's a town in Pennsylvania that was built on top of coal mines.
Yeah.
Somehow the coal mines underneath that town caught on fire. It's been on fire for like 40, 50 years.
Underneath? Where does it get the oxygen after a while?
They keep sucking it in from somewhere.
They could close that hole off.
Yeah, but apparently it's still got airflow, right? And so they evacuated the whole town. It's like it's just a part of Western Pennsylvania that's just shut down.
Yeah, but is it clean coal? Because I mean, that's okay.
So one of my I know a guy whose family has been in coal for 3 generations, and
really
he's big in the energy space outside of coal. Like he's gotten involved in hydrogen and solar, things like that. But he gets so mad at the term clean coal. He's like, it's so bullshit. He's like, I'm a coal guy, and I'll tell you it's bullshit.
Yeah, no, I mean that's awesome. I mean, especially if you're an air filtration company, you're just like, yeah, I'm responsible for clean coal.
Yeah, right. Well, he was telling me what it is they wash the sulfates out, and then they use the sulfates for other things. So it's like a chemical washing process that causes all type of other pollution, and then they just use the sulfates that they wash out of the coal for other stuff.
Like to make matchsticks?
Yeah, who knows?
Jesus Christ.
But he's like, there's nothing clean about it, ever.
That's good.
So he was going for a buzz on an empty stomach with some caffeinated green tea.
I don't blame him.
Green tea is good for you.
Green tea's. I like green tea a lot, actually. Oh, dude, you know what? So just because Jib's here, I have a great. You tell him where that is, but I have a great Thai story that I
go for it.
All right. So I'm down in. Sorry,
I said we'll get to Todd in a minute.
I'm in Phuket, obviously, and I'm in Patong. So I go into Patong and I go into like the mall that's been there forever, Jongsilon, and there's a central right across the way. So I go in there and I do some video and stuff. And of course, there's nobody there. And so I make great. So I come out, I open up my bag, and I take out my little connector thing that I like put on the rearview mirror of the motorbike, and I put my GoPro 9, right? Mm-hmm. And I have this bag, and I have this leather bag that I travel with. It's got like all of my charging cables in it, my plugs, a second battery, my backup cell phone, which I don't have locked. Ooh, look at that. Would you like people to subscribe? I mean, that was pretty fucking subtle, guy. It was tight. So anyway, so I have this out, and then I leave it on the sidewalk in Patong, half a block away from Bangla Road, which is basically the red light district. Now, again, this is during the day, but nonetheless, it's friggin' December in Patong, right by Bangla Road. I leave this thing there. It's got my phone. It's got a battery pack. It's got, but drive about 20 minutes south of there to Karen Beach. I'm doing a live stream. I'm looking at my bag like, oh my God, I don't have my battery pack. I don't have my bag. And I'm like, I guess I must have just left it in the motorbike. Didn't leave it in the motorbike. Get back to the motorbike. I realize that it has been left on the sidewalk in Patong. So I'm like, okay, well, worst case scenario, like I'm going to have to make sure that I change all the passwords that auto log in on my phone and whatever. So I drive all the way up there. I drive down Bangla Road. I take a right. I'm on that second road there, and I pull up right in front of where I was sitting on the sidewalk, and I look up, and there's this Thai guy there, and he like looks up at me, and he's like, holds the bag. He's like, and I'm like, yes. Awesome. So I go up to him. I'm like, "Oh my god, dude, you are so awesome!" And then so I said, "God, thank you." So I said, "Can I pay you? Like, I really appreciate it because I don't know how long he was sitting there." And so he's like, "Oh yeah, no." So I give him 100 baht. He's like, "Okay." So then he pulls out his phone, takes out and shows me on Facebook where he has posted that he's found this. And then you know how it clicks translate?
Yeah.
What he wrote in there is, "I'm waiting here until somebody claims this." I'm like, what? So he sat there the whole time. So then, here's what's awesome. So he takes a photo and basically updates everybody on Facebook. Okay. That he's like, he's found, it's me and him, a selfie, right? He's like, "Okay, I found it. I help it." I said, "Oh my God." So I pull up my phone, I do a video or whatever. Well, and what I didn't realize, I get back to the beach. I'm all excited. I'm just loving every single person that like is Thai ever because of this guy. And so then I open up my phone. Well, what he did was he opened up my bag, turned on my phone, opened up my Facebook, and posted in there, "Hey, I found your stuff." I'm like, dude, you're frigging awesome.
That's amazing.
So then he friends me, right? So I accept him. Well, if you've ever been in any degree of Thai community, you know what happens when you accept one Thai person.
Yeah.
I thanked this guy profusely on his Facebook, and then all of a sudden, all of his Thai friends are now like request, and I assume they're nice. And I was just like totally amazed. I'm like, dude, of all the places in Thailand where you say, "Oh, I left valuables on the sidewalk and got it back," Patong Beach is not that place.
No,
next to friggin' walking
near the
street.
bottom of that list for sure.
Dude, and I was going, and you know what was funny is I told this story to a couple buddies back in Kamala when I went back there, and they're like, "Dude, that happens to me all the time." They shared some stories, and they're like, "You know what would happen if a foreigner walked by and saw that?" I'm like, "He would have fucking taken it."
Free stuff.
And here's the thing. I went up there.
Then he would have drop shipped your batteries.
Well, because of the course that's available on my phone for free or $47. And so I'm like sitting there and I'm going, okay, you know what? When I get up, if he had sold it, I mean, come on. I mean, dude, Patong.
Yeah.
It's literally like a freaking bomb went off. It's the infamous, "Oh my God, is there a pandemic?" Like, yeah, there is. This is what it looks like. It's a ghost town. And so I'm like, okay, this guy could have sold my phone for like, $20. And I would not have blamed him ever. But there he is. Like, oh yeah. And then he posts on Facebook. He's like, "Well, my job's done now. I can go home." This is the translation. And just like, and so anyone who ever tells me like, "Oh, well, don't go down there because it's bad or it's screwed," or, "Oh, the Thais are so desperate. They're going to steal from you. They're going to scam you out of this. We're going to do." I'm like, dude, no. I have been to the fucking like full on take advantage of me city in top 3, Nana Plaza, right? Yeah. And this guy out of the woodwork, and he's, amazing. I'm
not a fan of Patong myself, but it's really never the Thais there that make it an issue. When I was
copy
there.
that. Yeah. No, it's the drunk friggin' Australians and the asshole Russians.
Yeah,
I'm not generalizing
for good measure.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, Paul A., what's going on, man? How you doing? Yeah, Jib says you're lucky.
Wait, what does Dorman say?
He said he sent him a message also.
Are you kidding me? Oh my God. This guy is so, his name is Bapalad or something like that. I know I pronounced it wrong, but yeah, dude,
really?
He's just,
you pronouncing a Thai name wrong?
Well, shocker, right? Because I said to him, I'm like, "Listen, had I not found you, I would have been over to Kopang, and then I would have not had known how to find you." He's like,
drinking a Cafe Boran.
I was having a Cafe Boran, and I'm like, "Where the hell is my batteries?" So, love everyone Thai.
Norman says that's why he doesn't go to Pattaya. Pattaya has its own thing, but again, it's dead now as well.
You want to hear my Pattaya story?
I don't know. Did she come in you and you came on the floor? Or, I mean, how's it end?
Well, no, we came together. You saw the repeat of that in the movie, right? That's where they got that idea. They're like, "Wait, isn't this guy named Mike's? We're going to just reenact that scene. What happened? Yeah. Oh, they came together? Oh, okay, well, then they should probably get married." I used to go to Pattaya by coming into Suvarnabhumi and taking a taxi down there.
Yeah.
And I would get there approximately 3:30 to 4 in the morning because this one hotel that I always stayed at, as long as I checked in after 5:30 a.m., that was their early check-in that they gave me. Again, quite gracious. Anyway, so it's 4 a.m. I'm friggin' exhausted, but I've just been, flying for the last 20 hours. I'm all excited. I go down to the beach in Pattaya, right in front of Soy 6. If you know anything about Soy 6, it's basically where all the churches are or where there's a lot of bars with ladyboys in them. And you pick one. And so I'm sitting there. I'm having like a not a burrito. What do they call them here? They shave off the chicken. Kebab.
Shawarma.
Boner kebab. Shawarma.
Okay.
And so I'm eating this thing. I'm tired, right? I take out my phone. I put my phone down, and I'm like eating whatever. Like, okay, it's like 5. I'm going to go back to the – I stand up. I leave my phone there. I'm walking down freaking Beach Road in Pattaya like 4:30 in the morning. This guy comes running after me like yelling and tied. I'm like, oh, fuck, here it comes. All right, it's tense up. He's going to try and mug me. I'm like, nobody else is around. I'm like, this is good. He goes, phone. I'm like, you're kidding me, right? It's like freaking December, bro, like peak season. And I just left $400 of equipment on the ground. And this guy's chasing after me to make sure I can. I mean, and this is not COVID. This is not now. This is full on. But again, it's not the ties that screw you, dude. It's a freaking loser. Fuck.
Yeah. White dudes with dreadlocks and Chong t-shirts. Paul says it's not the Aussies the troublemakers. We just can't tell the difference between the Aussies and the Kiwis. Fair enough. I cannot.
No, you know what I love to do? I love to pick full countries. Like every now and then I'll say, oh yeah, but I mean, it's like all those Africans. It's like, dude, that's a continent, right? It's not a country. Like, yes, it's all the Africans.
Every single one of them.
Yeah, every single one of them.
No, actually, I got some bad news or some offbeat news this week. One of my PhD advisors passed away.
What?
And yeah, he was only a few years older than me. Has a young kid.
What?
So apparently it was an accident. I don't know the details, but it was again young guy. He's not even 50 yet, and had an accident, passed away. And just tough is I think about it. He was a cool guy. He was very helpful to me in a lot of ways. And so when one of my friends reached out and told me, I was like very shocked.
Do you know what the accident? I mean, was it like a medical accident, or did you get a terrible car accident?
No, it was like some type of accident at home. It wasn't medical related. I don't know all the details, but
man, I'm sorry.
Whatever it was, it was definitely a shock. Like I said, I think his daughter's like not even 10. He's married. Jesus. Yeah.
So, is there a ceremony or like what do you?
Yeah, so they had there's a couple over the last few days, like prayer ceremonies, and his cremation is tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm. And are you and Jib attending?
I might. Jib probably won't.
Yeah.
But
that sucks, dude.
Yeah, it is. It was weird. It kind of like it came out of nowhere. My friend wrote me. He's like, hey, he just passed away like the other day. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, it was an accident. And then he told me what happened, and like he's like, I just know what happened at home, and like damn. So, things can pop up, and anything can happen at any time.
Yeah, and it's true, right? And it's funny. I mean, you're very independent, similar to me and stuff, and you're just basically 10 years my junior.
Yeah.
And so when I was your age, I was doing exactly what you are, which is living the fucking dream and working. And now I'm just living the dream, and my job is to jerk off, which I'm excellent at, by the way. I'm getting better at it. The less Gracie's here, the more practice. And so because you should see, you ever see that Family Guy where Quagmire's right arm is like totally huge, left arm is flat. Anyway, so and I get, like you probably do too, which is from a lot of guys. They're like, oh man, you're like really living it. I can't wait till I get to the age where I can do that. And then for them, that's like 70. I'm like, bro, here's a story of why you shouldn't wait. And your stories are sadly way too common. But
there's it's funny when you say like people want to get to that age. I remember it was a few years ago, and there was a kid who was telling me, he's like, "Oh, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, just no one ever gave me the chance to do it." I was like, that's not how entrepreneurship works, dude.
Let me give you an example of why you're not, because
Yeah.
of what you just said.
Exactly.
No one ever gave me the. That's pretty funny, though, right? I mean, I'm sure he believed exactly what he just said.
He really thought like someone had to give him the opportunity to be an entrepreneur. And I was like, that's not how entrepreneurship works. And I don't want to say that's why you're not, but if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
Dude, that is a precious statement. It's like the one I heard a while ago, which I'm in a meeting, right? And of course, people talk about their feelings. The guy's like, you know what? I never judge people, but boy, let me tell you about what I think about people who do. And I'm like, by saying that, you're judging.
Yeah. This is a crazy comment. Paul A says he was at a racetrack in Perth and some dude got assassinated by a sniper. They even have guns in Australia?
Car racetrack?
I doubt they race horses in Australia, right?
Okay, so they pretty much only race dogs. Do they even race dogs anymore in Massachusetts? They used to, right?
They used to in Revere, Wonderland.
Up Wonderland at the end of the blue line there.
Yeah, the blue line. And Rhode Island has a place called Lincoln Park, which used to be called Lincoln Greyhound Park. I think they run dogs there, but they're not really races. I think it's like some type of license requirement.
All right. Yeah, I don't know if they have like a horse races in. Regardless, that sucks. You know what's interesting is I actually have not heard about that happening in the U.S. because, of course, that's what before any of this COVID thing, the big disasters in the news, right? Were that a fucking nightclub got shot up in friggin' Miami or whatever. I know that date is wrong.
We had the Colorado's, Vegas, the guy in Vegas.
Oh, so Vegas was screwed up, dude. I had staff there during that convention.
Not at that concert though.
Like across the street, like he was he's like, oh, there's people across the street from my hotel. I'm gonna walk over there, and of course, when you hear guns like in the movies, right? It's like this big sort of. But when you hear it in real life, it's like, oh, someone's like putting off firecrackers, or something like that. And then once everyone started screaming, then that was louder. The funny thing about that,
what the guns are. So like,
it was a rifle.
Like something like AK. Like once you hear an AK for the first time, you pretty much always recognize that sound. Yeah. And of course, like anything semi-auto or burst, like you'll hear the cadence of it.
That was scary. It was about 2 weeks later. I stayed one floor above where the shooter was in that same hotel. I had no idea. I do a video from there and I post it on YouTube, and all of a sudden I get like 25,000 views. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And I realize why.
Horrible. Paul says they race dogs, and then he's saying
no, it was banned. He said racing dogs was
banned, but they race them again. It's allowed again now.
And
then he was saying they race horses in Bangkok as well. I know there's a track.
Oh, I know exactly where.
Yeah,
Racha Damri, right by that BTS station. Yeah.
I don't know how often they do that.
They probably wait for the AQI to get like below 300, and then they set them free.
I think buffalo races are more common.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the sick ones, sure.
Yeah. Born Nomad says Australians will race anything with legs or wheels. I can see Australians doing like a mounted kangaroo race.
Right, of course.
Little jockeys on the back of the kangaroos.
No, they don't. They don't wear them in the back. They put them in the pouch.
In the pouch, right? I saw a video the other day. Someone filmed the pouch inside the pouch of a kangaroo. It was kind of wild. They use one of those probe lenses.
It's gross, right? It's like gooey and stuff. Isn't
it? It's weird because there's like a membrane, but it's hairy and there's nipples in there and like all this other stuff.
Actually, speaking of that, I got a great story about later on at night in Patong after I got my bag back, which involves a lot of what you just talked about.
Nipples, pockets, and fuzziness.
Yeah, there was a membrane and everything. I don't know.
Hey, gotta love Thailand. How you doing, man?
Good to see you, Dave.
It came by right at the right time.
Yeah, I'm like, I just flipped it on, and all of a sudden, Mike Membrane back in Patia. What?
But like going back to the entrepreneur thing, I do think it's strange when someone's like, "Oh, someone needs to give me an opportunity," and like I was just like, I was kind of blown away that he said that, and it wasn't being ironic. He was being very serious.
Yeah.
And he thought of like entrepreneur as a job title. And I was like, yeah, it's not a job title. If it was, it's a really shitty job for the most part. Like you don't understand like how much of a grind it really is until you do it.
Well, I'll tell you. Here's the thing. I mean, and you probably this potentially bothered you. Maybe not as much as me because I'm a little uptight. But the label of engineer, having gone through school as you and I have, and had we been in Canada, quite frankly, our next step after graduation is Jib there.
Yeah, Jib with my AQ to show me her new shirt.
Her AQI meter.
No, she just popped in and showed me her new T-shirt.
Does she have a bag full of electronics that she got from a buddy of hers down in Phuket?
Yeah, she bought it on Facebook Marketplace for $30.
Because they all know each other, so I get that.
So but you're saying engineer.
Yeah, so because I mean, I think one of the things that always pops into my head is when I'm in a hotel and like something technical's wrong, and they're like, "Okay, hold on, let us call engineering," and I'm like, "No, you're going to call." The handyman.
Yeah.
But so that kind of bothers me when people say they're engineers and they're not really. But the other thing too is that entrepreneur, because of how this entrepreneur and digital nomad and drop shipper are almost synonymous, which pisses me.
They tend to be now, yeah.
Yeah, that's really frustrating.
Do.
Hi, Benja.
Yeah, kind of like, Benja, how you doing? Thanks for coming by. She says we're talking too fast. 555.
We're not. You're just not listening fast enough.
Yeah,
you need to get some green.
Faster.
Benja, let me tell you right now, 2 words: green tea. Change your life.
Change it on an empty stomach. Get the buzz going.
Big time.
Here's the thing with like entrepreneurs, like a title, or engineer as a title. And like I saw guys who were like called engineers who clearly had more of a help desk skill level when I was an engineer. And guys who were help desk who probably could have been very viable engineers.
For sure.
It goes both ways. And I think just some people don't understand like what it entails to be an entrepreneur and like really do it. And they see it as just a cool thing. And it does get thrown out there just way too much now, to the point where like I don't say it. Like other people I know who really have been through it don't say. You don't throw it on your resume. Oh, I'm an entrepreneur. And I see people put it on their LinkedIn like entrepreneur or serial entrepreneur. One time for a little while, right, I had serial entrepreneur on my LinkedIn with a C, right, just to fuck with people. And
I invented cornflakes.
And I was like, yeah, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm working on the next great grain.
Yeah, and, right, exactly.
No one thought it was funny, but
you've heard of Wheaties? I make meaties. You want to see where it comes from?
And I think that's one of the things that definitely is overlooked, and in the grind of it, the sexiness of it is like less than 1% of what it really is.
Yeah, I mean,
any job.
I label myself as entrepreneurial because I think, and again, guys like you and I would have a discussion about that. But when I say that to some people, they immediately think that I'm saying that I drop ship from my laptop in Chiang Mai. But what I think that you, and certainly the way I sort of interpret that, and the reason I say it is because it's like I am very risk tolerant.
Yeah.
I'm willing to, in fact, I get fueled by doing something that many other people tell me, that's crazy. You can't do that. I'm like, I know it's a good idea now.
Well, I mean, much like you too, right? Well, you've spent a lot of your life working for someone and then not working for someone, or working for someone part-time and then doing something else part-time. I was the same thing. I was an engineer for a decade at a telecom, and
right.
It's, I did other things while I was working at the telecom and like working my way up the ladder there. And so, now I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I can, manage multiple clients and do other things and, really kind of take on a lot more risk, but it is very risky. No doubt. It's not safe.
Well, I would submit that what you're doing, and again, I don't completely know all of it, but I would submit right now, at least my vision of it is safer doing what you're doing now than your tech stuff from before. Is that accurate?
Well, I think, some of my wins previously have allowed it to be safer in a lot of ways,
Mm-hmm.
So like of course, like anyone who's been in the startup space or an entrepreneurial space has been an abnormally high amount of failures to wins, right? That ratio is pretty standard. Like anyone who tells you they've got all wins is generally full of bullshit, right? Unless like they hit it big on their first thing, then they never did anything else again. So like, of course,
I
like
know,
I've had
guys.
big losses, but I've had some moderate wins that have allowed what I do now to be, very, very enjoyable and have a moderate safety level to it versus, if I was still trying to build some piece of software, some piece of hardware. Hardware is incredibly risky, incredibly stupid. I've been in hardware. Don't do it.
No, absolutely not. It's like people. I mean, these guys from Dell, right? Who I love, but they're like, "Oh yeah, we're going to put this new data center gear," and I'm like, "What? How in the world can you sleep at night convincing customers to buy hardware? No, you need to convince them how to apply for a credit card and get a fucking cloud account and get the hell out of their goddamn data center and get solid glass to every single one of their customers."
Well,
Like,
I had a startup that was in consumer electronics hardware, which is brutal.
Red Ocean.
Yeah, it was wearable tech. Well, this is going back a while, but it was wearable tech, and it was brutal as far as like the amount of money we spent, the amount of money we lost, and to walk away with basically nothing. We were very lucky to kind of hit like a break even with some IP acquisition.
Did you go to CES?
What's that?
Did you go to CES to display?
No,
That's
we never even got our prototype to work.
Wow. But you still broke even. Good for you.
Yeah, we had some interesting IP that we're able to take out and make work.
Nice.
So Paul asked, do both you guys work in Thailand? No, one of us does.
Work.
Mike is retired. I am not. I have a company here. I have a work permit and a legal guy. Actually, I just did immigration the other day. Yesterday, I was at immigration, and I would say it was the easiest immigration experience I've ever had.
Yeah, totally. You didn't need TUM for that.
No, I used TUM for my renewal. Like this was my full renewal for my year.
And you had him do it for you?
Yeah, I still have to go. Like I had to show up, but he basically, because he preloads everything and does all the work, I basically just show up, answer a question, and done.
What? Oh, because it's marriage.
Yeah. We still have to do photos every year of like us sitting on the bed, us holding hands, like all this stuff in front of the house.
Did you have to do a reach around like last time?
Yes.
I mean, okay. I mean, as long as they're considering that valid.
It's consistent. So long as it's consistent.
I get it.
And but easy in, easy out. And then so this was the pre-check, and then they'll validate it in January. Well, I went to the Ministry of Transport afterwards because my license expires this month. This is my birth month.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and I'd like to do a renewal. And they're like, oh, you have to make an appointment, come back in February.
What? Wait, what?
Yeah.
You were physically at Land Transport?
Yes.
Which, the one near us?
Yeah. 99 South 1.
That is
right outside Bangkok BTS.
Is that like a new thing?
Yeah. So, because of social distancing, and I will say the staff were like so helpful, super nice. Like,
agreed.
And this guy, like, if this was an American DMV, this would be like, this guy would be swearing back at you. Like there was a line literally out the door, right? We waited in the queue. We got up to the front. We're like, hey, I need to do a renewal. This is my license. I also lost I didn't lose. I can't find my car license. I only have my motorcycle.
Sure.
And, they're like, oh, so we're not doing it today, right? Because you have to do it with other foreigners. It's like a whole renewal process. They're like, sign up in this book. The next batch is like February 11th or something like that, February 13th. And so
Okay.
they're like, please, sign up here, write your information, keep this card. This is your appointment card, so please don't lose it. Come back on this date, watch the video, do the test, and you'll be all
Right.
set. Like it's no problem. So and then he showed us what we'll need. We had a couple questions about that. And so we waited for him to be done with the next person in line. And we're like, hey, so what is this? What is this? He's like, oh, yeah, this is fine. Just get this. This is all you need. Don't worry about it. You're good. And it's super helpful. Like the nicest guy.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think. I did mine December of 2019. So that was way too normal back then. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dorman says he did his 2 days ago and they made him do the same thing February 3rd. Yeah. And so my license expires on my birthday, the 30th. And so I was like, well, what happens if I have to drive between now and then? He's like, just don't get caught. He's like, if you get pulled over, he goes, yeah, up top, boom.
Totally, dude. Yeah.
You get pulled over. He's like, just tell him you have an appointment for February. Show him this. It's a non-normal thing, so they'll understand. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Like I don't really drive frequently, so I'm not super worried about that. But it's a valid question, I think. But he was like, don't worry about it.
He's
it's
like,
such
dude,
a Thai thing. Like, sabay.
Dude, my pen rye this, baby. Just my pen rye it.
Yeah.
That's good to know, though. So you're looking at basically 2 months ish. So knowing that, I will probably go over there in March and assume I will get an appointment end of April, early May, which is, I think.
Yours is coming up. You have your 2-year license right now, right?
It's a 2-year, yeah. So right now it's 1 year old. So like I get maybe in 6 months I'll cruise over.
Yeah. So yeah, it might be back to normal by then. Who knows?
Yeah, that's what we said 6 months ago, right? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's weird. Paul thinks I'm too young to retire. Yeah, well, what's the required age, dude?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could never too young to retire, never too young not to. Or never
Two wonderful top 10 pieces of advice my dad ever gave me, and he's still to this day. Gratefully he's alive. He still gives me great advice. The first was, don't wait till you get old to retire.
Yeah.
And the second one is, pay taxes when you're earning a living on your investments, meaning get your shit out of your 401k, your 503 as soon as you possibly can. Take the entire nut, pay the taxes now, because later on, he's like, taking money out of your savings basically to live off of and paying income tax on that. He's like, that sucks.
Yeah.
And I got to do that because the tax rate is not going to go down anytime soon. So now's the time to do it while it's low.
So you're waiting until you get Florida residency, though, right?
So that was the plan. And I don't think that in the next year, well, I know that because it's almost, we'll see what happens in January. If all of a sudden January, there's like sort of a trajectory towards increase, but I don't think there will be because basically he doesn't take office until January 20, whatever, 1st, I think. So I'm not too worried about it happening for 2021. But yeah, I mean, if I would prefer to, because while there will have to pay the rollover, I'm not gonna have to pay taxes on dividends, which is a huge benefit for friggin' Florida in comparison to the other no state income tax states. But at the end of the day, state income tax in Massachusetts is 5%. So it's not horrible.
Oh, yours is held in Mass, not in Cali.
Yeah, because it was interesting. I really didn't sort of plan it this way. My plan was, okay, yeah, Florida, right? But then, like in October, because I was going to come over here in November, and in August or September, work just started sucking, and I'm like, I'm done. So I flew home in October to tell my parents, like, hey, what I'm doing. And so when I did that, not only did I ship a whole bunch of stuff back there before I would move over to Thailand, but I also said, you know what, I'm going to set up residency here. And the only one thing I did not do is I wasn't back there long enough to transfer my California license to my Massachusetts license, because I figured I'd go home this summer and do that. Yeah. But with the exception of that, yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely a Massachusetts resident. I am definitely not a California resident, which saves me a bundle in taxes. So
ton of money. That's why everyone's leaving Cali right now.
All the businesses, well, many businesses. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, look, I was talking with, well, yeah. And that's been happening for a while, but now for sure it's probably escalating. But someone mentioned that to me the other day, like, oh my God, all these new businesses are leaving California or they're going to Texas or whatever. I said, okay, that's fine. I get it. It's a very good reason for it. But let me tell you something. There's no friggin' angel investors to the density that there is in San Fran or the Valley or whatever. They don't exist in Texas. Maybe there's a few of them in Colorado, Massachusetts, around MIT. They've got a decent startup community, but all the money comes from the Valley, dude. I mean,
I was talking about this with Jib the other day because she was talking about like NGOs like headquartered in America getting invest like spending money in like Thailand and stuff. I was like, well, the reason every NGO has the headquarters in New York because that's where the money is. The same reason every startup wants to be in the Valley because that's where the money is.
Well, not only that, it's like if you have a startup over here and someone like some, I don't know, scout, let's say, finds you. And even Singapore, this probably happens a lot more frequently in Singapore. But I mean, after a while, they're just like, okay, well, you guys are like really successful, and you're going to be successful, and you need some money. You need to move to Valley. You need to move to the Valley. You need to move to Palo Alto. You need to move. And they're like, I don't want to do that. They're like, well, sorry.
It depends on what your market is, right? If you have a regional market, right, you can be located in your country of origin and still be successful. And you see that with Grab and Gojek, right? Pomelo, all of these travel sites that are located here, Agoda, right? But like if you have a globally targeted market with a SaaS product or an app, you can't be based in Singapore or Bangkok.
Where did so Booking Holdings, right, is obviously also Booking.com and Agoda and stuff. Where are they out of? Where's Booking Holdings? Are they? They moved all the way over there? Because I know like Agoda kind of moved to what? Singapore? No.
Yeah.
Did they went from Thailand, Singapore?
In Bangkok. So I think technically, right, you can still be in Bangkok, but no outside investors are going to really feel comfortable investing in a very large Thai startup.
Yeah, it's even harder for Vietnam too. And I got to tell you, man, Ho Chi Minh City. I mean, at least when I was there, it was now I haven't been since I've only been in Thailand since COVID. But man, Ho Chi Minh City got a buzz to it. I dug it.
Yeah. So Paul asked an interesting question. I like Hugh's. Hugh, I'll get to your comment. Actually, I'll do it real quick because it's hilarious. After the fall of USSR, wanted to hire out of work Eastern Bloc spies or drug kingpin vasectomy patients and be snipes. Would walk a hammock and a pina colada with vasectomy, done deal.
There you go.
The liability would have been sky high if I used Albanians or Bulgarians.
Cute.
But so Paul asks, why not be a foreign resident? Do you need U.S. residents? Well, like you'd have to be. It's very difficult to be a permanent resident in Thailand, right? Singapore too. Singapore is probably the easiest, and it's still quite a complicated thing to get done.
Well, okay, but in other words, don't forget we are foreign residents, right? In other words, we reside here. We do not have permanent Well, maybe you do. You don't yet, right? 5 years,
no.
Or 5 visas in a row,
yeah.
And but here's the thing: is that I am a U.S. citizen, as is Dana. So therefore, no matter where I live, I'm freaking paying taxes.
Yeah. So we're liable for tax on foreign earned income.
Global income.
All our income, but no matter what, and up to you get a exemption up to like 109,000 or something stupid.
Single, you're married.
Yeah, but not to another U.S. citizen.
Does it have to be a U.S. citizen?
I think so.
Yeah, that would probably make sense because they would have a Social Security and they would be on the tax system. So that makes sense. But yeah, the foreign earned income exclusion. But the other thing too is that like my family is still in the United States, right? Like all of my money is in the United States. My parents live in Boston, and so therefore I need to have some degree of attachment to the United States.
They live in Boston, really?
South of Boston. Nobody knows where they live. Nobody knows that town unless you're from there. And then they're like, oh, you must be. So I don't like to get into the.
Yeah. I just hate inaccuracy. It's like all the people who used to live in Quincy and they're like, oh, no, I'm from Boston. Yeah. Wicked pissed.
Well, I'll tell you what. Quincy's a hell of a lot more Boston than where I'm from. That's for sure.
Yeah, but it's still a hell of a lot not Boston.
I'm definitely not Boston. No, we live in the Boston area.
Yeah. The greater Boston metro. Yeah, but there's the thing, right? If you have all your cash, significant savings and investments in the U.S., right, you don't want to move that to another country because you're gonna take a big hit on it.
Well, I can't invest with the degree of profit that I'm, what am I going to do? Invest in, what is it? SET, Stock Exchange of Thailand? There's like 19 stocks in it. It's fucking ridiculous. And to move all my cash to another, I mean, I could go to Canada, if I wanted to basically, I don't know, if I wanted to numerically have a larger balance, but it's like, it's I mean, say what you will. Look, the United States is still pretty friggin' awesome at a lot of stuff. And our stock
is powerful right now too. It's killing me.
Well, in our stock market, I mean, dude, Jesus Christ. I mean, Virgin Galactic, for Christ's sake, right? Which is, again, basically a foreign company, but it's got a U.S. I looked at 93% ROI on my stocks. You fucking kidding me? They haven't even, they don't even have a regular flight to the moon yet. Give it time.
How long?
How
long have you had it?
Well, I'm up 93%. So May. I think maybe I got it in May. It went down a little bit, but I'm like, okay, look, everyone else thought Orville and Wilbur were bonkers too. But trust me.
What's GoPro at right now?
I think it's almost at 9. I think I'm almost up 25%.
Nice.
If I sold it, right? I mean, it's like, but again, it's
how high you think you're gonna be able to ride it? You think they'll get back up to that 30 mark?
I pray that the CEO is smart enough to realize that he is not a hardware company. I think he's realized this a while ago. He's a technically fueled experience company. And I believe that if he's smart enough, he'll realize that means he's a software company, and he needs to license this shit out of his software, not the least of which is all the IP that is around noise filtration and the horizontal stabilization. I mean, he should be licensing the crap out of that to Canon, for God's sake. If he does that,
every digital nomad has a GoPro.
They have to, otherwise they can't actually get into Chiang Mai. They don't need to wear a mask in Chiang Mai. You just need to have a GoPro.
Just a GoPro with a head mount or something.
Yeah, pretty much. Either that or the chest strap.
6-foot selfie stick.
Of course. The hope, though, based on how the subscription model is there, and I believe that they will at least be the same, if not a little bit more, ideally 20% more. Their Q4 revenue, once that gets announced, like probably, I don't know, February 1st or whenever they do it, I'm really hoping that people still held enough cash after all of the cash that basically the government gave them throughout the year, that they held it until like the infamous Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all the way through Christmas, and then just bought the shit out of the GoPro 9. Because, I mean, dude, Q3 was the first time they turned profit in like a year. And it was a significant amount of profit. If they play their cards right, in 2 quarters, they could be debt-free. That would be epic.
I don't think that will happen. I think that, so I disagree, where I think that they are still a hardware company, right? Even though I agree that you're right, they're a technically driven experience company, but their hardware is at the core of their offering. It's not their software. So they still have to.
What are you talking about?
At GoPro,
their hardware, it's a square box, dude. The stuff inside is what's important.
Yeah, but it shows the fact that they increase the size, they increase the sensor, right? They change the chip out for the 9, right? But they improve battery life, all of these things, and they're building new hardware adaptations, the media mod, the display mod, all these things, so that they are still going to be a hardware-driven company.
Yeah, I'm not.
I think they're still.
I'm not buying in on that.
I think they're still going to keep a 12-month product cycle.
They are, but again,
roll out new hardware every year, or else they'll fall behind. That market is ultra competitive.
Yeah, but it's just the evolution of the hardware. It just gets bigger, more stuff. What's revolutionary is the software inside that makes it do what it does. And so that's the difference. That's the big delta. And I would submit in how you define your company, because I mean, new hardware is like, who fucking cares? You just design it and then you huck it over to China and they just mass produce it like crazy. And they do a good job of that. But I mean, the stuff behind, because in other words, you can get a GoPro 9 and you don't need to upgrade it because you can upgrade the software. You can buy a Tesla and get almost a brand new user experience by updating the software.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, it's an experience company, because there's plenty of action cameras out there, but the GoPro is the friggin' Kleenex of action cameras.
It
They're
is.
amazing.
It's the Xerox, the Kleenex,
Totally.
the Tylenol of action cams, the paracetamol of action cams.
I still don't get that. I bet nobody here that's from the U.S. has ever even heard the word paracetamol.
But so here's the thing, and so I think that now, especially Insta, I think is their biggest challenge at the moment. DJI, their camera it falls short in a lot of places, and Insta with that modular build that they have, I think is really set to change the approach, because it's going to give people a lot more a lot shorter path for product cycle and more upgradability over time.
But there's no emotional attachment to it, though. There is an emotional attachment to GoPro like there is with Starbucks and Apple.
Yeah. I think right now, and one of the channels I watch, I think they're called Gemini Connect. It's a couple. It's a American chick, and like her husband's from like Eastern Europe or something, like Russia or wherever, and they live in Seattle. They review action cameras, like all this stuff, and they were saying with their Insta360 1R, they've never had a software glitch. They still get software glitches all the time on their GoPros. But the software side, and also the audio, GoPro audio, which we saw when you did your motorbike video, right? Zero wind noise, but also picked up your voice really well. However, horizon stabilization is another amazing thing that's no one's even close to that.
You also need to realize too that Insta, they can't afford a software glitch. GoPro can have software glitches all day long, and I'll tell you right now, the app and the connectivity and the ability to go live, totally unreliable. Doesn't matter. Yeah. There's still GoPro. If it was Insta360 and I had this problem, I literally would throw the thing away and say to myself, I should have bought a GoPro. GoPro customer service sucks ass. But
we learned that. Their e-commerce team sucks ass.
Incompetent, okay?
Yeah.
But it's GoPro. And so all they got to do is, I mean, think about it as far as Apple goes, right? I mean, when Apple first came out with their PC, the Apple II, it was a fucking piece of garbage, right? I mean, it just had no processing power. It had a limited instruction set. And the CPU that it ran on was like not standard. And so then the PC just, blossomed. But what they've done is they've done these regular, I mean, they had a core group of people that loved it.
Yeah.
But they've grown, and they're so amazing right now that like people that love Apple let me just say people that use Apple, not necessarily the obsessed people, but the people that use Apple, there can be a problem, doesn't matter. They're not going anywhere else. And so I believe that GoPro has that. If they just continue with that momentum, in other words, you told me that the 8 was actually a mistake in the sense that it wasn't the upgrade from the 7 that, quite frankly, the 9 is.
A lot of people think what the 8 was, what the 9 is what the 8 should have been. The 8 did feel like a step backwards to a lot of people. But so I am a Mac fanboy, right? I have that love for Mac products. My whole ecosystem is built around Macs. And we talked about, like, I'm waiting on my Mac Mini to arrive, my new Mac Mini. But I don't have that same, as much as I love GoPro, like I don't have a whole ecosystem built around their product that I need to have.
No, and you and I aren't using their cloud thing. It's silly. No. It's a waste. Like, why are you're not in the cloud business. You should get the hell out of the cloud business. You should make it so that this device connects to everything else, not your friggin' cloud. Yeah. Which they have, but.
So, again, like if the Insta, like I'm waiting, I don't buy first gen hardware ever. Like I'm just not like a first release of something is not in my DNA as an engineer. I'm just like, I'm not that much of an early adopter. Yeah. So when Insta360 does come out with their version 2, their V2, I will be very tempted to buy an Insta360 model. And they might just upgrade like the processing, the unit with the screen. They might upgrade that to a stronger processor. And I would be very tempted to jump into that ecosystem.
Depends what you use it for, though. Like even if like GoPro made an Insta360, I'm like, well, I'm not going to buy that. I don't need that.
I think the modular design of it is probably the future of these types of cameras, to be honest. The ability to swap out So with the same camera, you could have a 4K lens, a 5K 1-inch sensor, or a 360 camera. Right?
Yes,
That's a game changer.
I mean, that is amazing, right? I mean, that's a very smart thing to do, especially because GoPro, and this is one thing that I don't particularly like about GoPro from a user perspective. From an investor perspective, they've locked you in. Like, you know, that plastic little handle to knock off of the selfie stick. I paid like, you know, 1,000. I don't even know if I paid 1,000 baht. I probably paid 500 baht on Lazada for it. If it breaks, I'll throw it away. I'll buy another one. But the GoPro version of that is 2,500 baht. It's 80. Yeah, it's ridiculous, right? But you know, I mean, it's got an awesome base, right? I mean, the tripod, the unscrews, it's fantastic, and it's made very, very well. But you know, you're locked in, right? And you know, if you can do that, if you have the nutsack to be able to do that, and the arrogance to think that people are actually going to buy your stuff, well, then your last name is Jobs. And if you can convince the world that every single other phone on the market can use the same charger except ours, and people will line up to buy your shit, I will give you money all day long for your company. I won't necessarily buy your product, but
again, I think that I really do think that GoPro is at a point where there's enough competition between DJI and Insta where they could lose their market stake in the next few years if they don't really step their game up.
They absolutely could. And quite frankly, hopefully that was probably the reason why some of the leadership came in and said, okay, so like this 8 was interesting, but we really got to get our shit together and we got to grab some more market share, which they did with the physical camera, with the software inside of it, and this subscription model. I mean, as ridiculous as this is, it's a process and it is a behavior that so many people are used to. They're used to having, and thank you, Amazon Prime. They convinced the world that you should give them a certain amount of money to get free stuff. You should pay for something to then get free. It's brilliant.
You know, and I know people who are like dedicated, like my boy Josh. He's one of these guys who he understands like the ins and outs of Prime, right? And he like leverages it to its max, right? He's you know, Penny Josh for a reason, you know, and like that drives him. And there are people like that. But 99% of people who have Prime pay what is it, $3.99 a month, $4.99 a month, right? They get the videos, they get the delivery, and they're like, yeah, that's fine.
No, so when I had an EDU address, right? As you know, the benefits of that. They had Prime. It was $99 for basically people in higher education. Then it was $129. As far as I know, it's like $150 a year. As far as I know, I don't even know what it is, but it's significant. If you don't order shit,
it comes with video. Comes with video service, right? Amazon Prime Video.
Yeah, it's like getting Netflix and free shipping.
Yeah, and you get now they have like something with the Kindle. If you have Prime, you get free Kindle books.
Really?
Yeah, you don't
a certain
own them,
number,
so it's like,
not all.
No. So like, there are certain books that will say like free with Kindle Prime or whatever.
Yep. No, that's true, and I can stream. I can't stream every movie on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, but like there's definitely a lot to it. But if you're getting deliveries with the free delivery, then actually I ordered a hub for my Mac Mini from Amazon, shipped it here, and I was shocked. It was only like $12 shipping.
And they rolled in it was a piece of technology.
Yeah.
And what do you remember what the breakout was? Like how much of it was duty and how much of it was actual shipping?
No, I don't. But it was like $12 shipping. And it's basically a hub to use with my Mac Mini.
USB?
Yeah, USB-C, and it gives me like a bunch of like USB 3.0 and a card reader like right under the Mac. So it's like it's the same exact footprint as the Mac Mini, and the Mac sits on top of it. You can
That's pretty nice.
A solder drive in it.
Where's it being shipped from? US?
Yeah, from Kentucky.
Oh, from one of their districts. Okay. That's interesting. I mean, again, they're not in charge of that, right? I mean, they're just passing on based on their experience and their relationships. They know what the duty is going to cost once it shows up.
Yeah.
So they just add that in. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's a pretty cool little dock. So it'll house a SATA drive in it as well. Mm-hmm. So you'll always have like another drive right there.
You putting one in?
you plug it into one of the USB-Cs, and then you end up with a you get, I think there's 4 USB ports in the front and a micro and mini, an SD and a mini SD reader.
Nice. It was like $100.
No, it was like 50.
It was shipping, so it's like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. That's a good deal.
Yeah. Good. And I looked online here, like all the companies, couldn't find them. I'm gonna get a 34-inch monitor for the new Mac Mini.
You gonna do the flat, or you gonna go a little minimal curve?
The one I'm looking at right now is flat. But it's like, what do they call it? It's like a huge aspect ratio, super wide.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, maybe go with the curve, maybe not. Figure it out.
34-inch high, 144 hertz.
Yeah.
So is that about $1,000?
No, it's literally like $300
for 34-inch.
Yeah.
Jesus, who makes it?
Samsung.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
They manufacture the screens for everyone else. Dude,
It's
that's
a 2K.
amazing.
It's a 2K monitor, not a 4K.
Oh, okay. Because
it makes no difference to me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, come on. It's like, yeah, I only shot it in 2.7K. Yeah. Okay, well, you know what? Your human eyes, you 40-year-old, can't sample. It's like when I love guys that are like, well, I'm not really getting anything above about 22 kilohertz. I can't really hear it. No shit, because you're over 30.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's the monitor I'm gonna get as the primary, and then I'll get like a 24-inch as a secondary monitor to put on the side.
Oh, so you're not going to do two of the same size?
No, it'd be ridiculous to have two 34-inch super wides.
But like, I mean, versus having two like 24s.
No, I'll do the 34, and I'll do the second one as a smaller monitor.
That's pretty cool, dude. Nice. I got to get a better chair is what I need to do. I need to be able to sit down longer. Of course.
Yeah, I definitely want to upgrade my chair at some point, but for now it works.
Yeah, mine works too, but then I get up and I'm like, kind of thing, and then I just get on.
My back doesn't work.
Exactly. My chair works fine. My back doesn't work great.
Yeah.
Although I will say that pad that I got, that seems to be helping out. But here's the downside: is that I don't sleep in this bed any more than I sleep in a hotel bed. It's like I'm all over the place. I don't know what. Yeah. But
you need to slow that down.
Oh, dude, I can't. I go to these beaches, bro, and I am literally the only guy there. I'm like, I can't. I mean, I'll just wait till next time where there's even less people. No, this is the time, man.
We got a trip we have to do in January, so we got to get that done.
I got to talk to you about that because, unfortunately, I'm hearing a lot of reports from people that have been. Chris from Retired Working for You, great example of people saying, I'm not going up to that part of the country. There's friggin' COVID all over the place. And I'm like, okay, that seems like a lot.
Yeah.
No, he's talking. Chris, his most recent video, he is considering postponing his trip to Chiang Mai because of that. Someone on the plane, not someone on the plane. One of the worker people at the kiosk thingy, they believe there's a likelihood that AirAsia will stop flying to Chiang Mai. This is their statement because of. No, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. No. Thai Airways canceled. That's what it was. Thai Airways canceled flights to Chiang Mai because, yes. And I'm like, okay, you guys are already losing so much friggin' money. Like, how can you possibly? So who knows, man? I don't know. I mean, we'll see.
To see how it shakes out. We'll take a look. When are you back from this next trip?
I have no return date. That's the rub. Because there's no. What I was hoping is that I would come back at the end of the year because I figured, okay, it's almost Christmas time. AirAsia is going to come out with a new pass, right? And I'll just double click on that, and then bam. But they haven't done that yet. They're like, oh yeah, no, up to 70% off. I'm like, yeah, for one lame ass flight to like somewhere I don't want to go to. Like Can. So I don't have a return flight yet. So I don't know when I'm coming back. And the problem is that like, I mean, not only am I not going to Surat Thani with this, I'm like going back to Phuket because every time I turn around and I wake up the following morning, there's one more beach that I still haven't been to that's friggin' empty.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't pull myself. I literally almost rented a place for a month. I'm like, I could just be, because here's the sucky part is that like, if something happens and I'm in Bangkok, and Gracie can all of a sudden magically, I mean, she could stamp in right now, but she'd still have to do a quarantine for 2 weeks. But she could also quarantine in Phuket. So I'm like, well, shit. If that's the case, maybe then I could find some hotel that I can, say, no, we're really married. I just forgot the paperwork in my glove box. Let us both quarantine in the same day. I don't know.
We got to figure this out because we have a very short window now, right? We kind of have to do it like pre-March.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see when I get back.
You have to see.
Yeah. I could just send you up there with the money and a lot of applause.
Yeah. You committed to the trip, Mike. I'm making you do it.
I know, I get it.
Yeah, Dorman saying, just like when he came up, getting in here and the bed at the end, that makes it perfect. Amaze balls.
Indeed.
Yeah, I love my bed. I got a nice memory foam topper going on. It works well.
I don't love mine. I need to upgrade so that I love it because I should love my bed.
Yeah, you absolutely should. Well, you might have to ditch your whole mattress though, right? You said you just because yours is the mattress that was stuck there.
It was a brand new one. I mean, she bought it, but obviously she bought the cheapest one that she could possibly find. And so it's pretty lame. And obviously it would probably cost me more to throw it away. I don't know if people charge you to throw stuff away here like they do in the US, but it would probably cost that. I get it. So she just told me that my AC, she goes, oh yeah. So she tells me that she'll make an appointment when I get back. Okay, great. And then she sends me a message. Okay, the tech will come tomorrow. Okay. I can leave the recontract in your room also. And then if you come back, I guess she needs me to sign like the receipt or something.
Huh.
That it's, I'm just going to respond. Okay, cup. How's that?
Yeah. So she expects you to be there for the service though?
I told her, I said, look, I'm leaving at 6:30 in the morning. Can I put the key in your mailbox? Because she's, she's like the lady, her company basically deals with maintaining all.
So just drop it off.
I will answer some questions while I do this. I don't want to ignore you. I apologize.
I'm just going to wait and have awkward silence.
Son of a bitch. I'll tell you what, though, dude. There's, dead air in this thing. On this microphone, zero background noise.
What software am I cutting with? So I was doing a lot of my editing in Premiere. And so I switched back to Final Cut, especially now with the new Mac Mini coming. I think it'll be ideal, especially a lot of the tests and benchmarks I've seen. I sent Mike a benchmark video where one of the guys was, because I was concerned about like the lack of RAM because you can only get up to like 16 gigs in the new Mac Mini. In the previous i7 version, you could get with 64, and then this guy was doing a test with the new M1 with the 16 gigs versus the i7 with the 64. And they're not even close. It's so ridiculous how much faster the M1 silicon is than the i7. It's just,
that's why I'm doubling down big time on my Apple shares, because this chip, considering it's an ARM chip and it's basically like going to be the same one that many people are going to probably start using, not just mobile devices, but like desktop. It's going to change. It's going to change the industry. I'm very impressed with them.
I'm excited to see what happens when they release pro versions of this chipset for like the Mac Pro or like a pro version of the Mac Mini.
How big is it physically? Is it physically large as the i9?
No,
because you don't need a fan.
So the Mac Mini has a fan, and one of the things that was funny is on the benchmark, the guy who was running on the benchmark, the fan was just ripping in the i7, and in the the M1, the fan barely kicked on.
Yeah, but that's not a fair comparison. You should be comparing this to the i9.
Well, they don't have an i9 Mac Mini.
Oh, yeah. Okay, fair. But yeah. So because if that's the case, then that's like comparing a laptop with an i7 to a laptop with an i9. That's not fair.
So one of the things that they did was they threw it, the video I sent you where he compares it with the i7 Mac Mini with 64 gigs of RAM and an external GPU against the M1 with the 16 gigs of RAM, and still gets smoked.
Yeah. I'm sure.
And also then they were showing the power, and I remember the power consumption on the i7 was like it was way spiked up, but the M1 chip used like 5 amps or whatever.
5. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. At peak
Jesus
performance.
Christ. I mean, again, that's what the ARM is. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
every single clock cycle is an instruction set versus friggin' antiquated Intel. Yeah, it's genius.
Yeah, and so is one of the other videos I watched last night. I didn't send it to you, but the guy was going back over like the history of this what led to this M1 chip, and he was talking about Intel wouldn't go in this direction for Apple. They just wouldn't. They wouldn't go there, and so Apple was creating these sort of supplemental chips to put in their computers, and then that's when they started rolling it out with the phone and the tablet, and then they've had this M1 chip in development for some time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. What is it? What's the A in ARM stand for? Acorn.
Yeah.
They bought them. Yeah.
And so now they just licensed the instruction set, and they're building everything's integrated.
Yeah.
6-core or 8-core processor, 8-core GPU, and
RAM.
And RAM, all on the same chip.
Freaking amazing. Yeah.
Nomad says Mac Pro here, Avid Media Composer, 8K Samsung 6K Mac monitor, Avid GPU, and
dude, you don't mess around.
Also the weeds in 24 months. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the last time I gotta watch videos.
There was a video I watched last night where the guy, actually the one I sent Mike, the guy has like a $15,000 version of the Pro.
Yeah.
I think he said 15, not 50. And he was exporting, I think it was a 4K, it was a 4K or an 8K video. It was kind of long. And he did it on the M1, on the Mac Mini M1, and he did it with his Mac Pro. And the Mac Pro only beat it by less than 3 minutes on the export. Yeah, which is insane and
rad.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And so but again, the Mac Pro could handle a feature movie, right? Like if you wanted to edit out like this huge feature, like hour-long movie, the Mac Pro could handle that, whereas the new Mac Mini can't. But the M1, when they put the new M chip in a Pro version and a Mac Pro in a year or two, I can only imagine the ridiculousness of it.
What's the longest movie you've rendered on your laptop there?
Like hour 20.
Hour 20. Like I was wondering.
2-hour videos, but it's 720.
Because I tried to do the video that we took incorrectly of the Tony Huge interview.
Yeah.
Right. It was like over 4 hours, or was right. Our podcast was like 4 hours.
Yeah. It was a 4-hour podcast. Yeah.
And right, like 3.5. The thing just is not happening. Can't work.
I've never done a 4-hour. I've simple stuff where it's like just a thumbnail and audio. Yeah, like longer stuff.
Yeah, audio, sure, yeah.
But but with the like an actual video that I edited together, like 2 hours at 1080.
Nice.
So Born Nomad Production says we use modified media compressor to cut the IMAX digital, and M's will bring the power bill down by 80%. Yeah. The power consumption is just ridiculous. Like I said, they were doing the benchmarks against an Mac Mini i7 with 64 gigs and an external GPU, in the external dock and everything, versus the Mac Mini M1, and peak performance 5 amps pull on the Mac Mini M1, where I want to say it was like maybe 80 from the i7 version plus the 200 for the GPU, the eGPU.
It's crazy significant, dude.
Yeah. So 5 versus 280.
Okay, Born Nomad, you're talking about doing some serious editing. I was like, holy crap, did I miss his channel? When I go to Born Nomad Productions, it says you have 8 subs and you have 7 videos. Am I missing another channel where you do this kick-ass editing, dude? And first of all, let me also say, I appreciate you coming by both of our channels. It's great.
It's definitely got to be doing something pretty intense if you're doing
IMAX digital. Jesus Christ, dude.
Yes. IMAX is not lightweight stuff, I imagine. Beyond my capabilities.
You see RM's comment? I completely forgot. He pinged me. He watched a video of me and Gracie.
Okay.
A while ago. about the cost of food. And here's what's interesting. So I did, and let me find, because I think, how old was that video? I did this video where Gracie and I, we were staying over in Thong Lo at Remix, right there at the BTS stop,
Yeah.
We would like walk down the street. We would like eat at this little, kind of thing, little like literally hole in the wall, right? And what was funny is I did some prices for stuff. And this was, I don't know, I don't think it was 3 years ago. And I was like, oh yeah, and then I got this soda at 7-Eleven for 14 baht. And then I was like, oh, I pay 18 baht for those now. And a couple years later, I'm like, let me extrapolate this math out 10 years. Holy shit. If that's going to be my rent, I mean, that's going to, that's a significant increase eventually. I mean, the money's not, but the percentage.
Now, I saw Chris from Retired Work Review did a video in Hoi Hin talking about rent. Like each place he looked at was like $1,500 US a month.
Yeah.
All of villas.
They were nice. But again, you got to remember that's because it's Hua Hin, right? So, I mean, it's gringo prices full on. Like where you and I live, it's friggin' Thai price. I pay the gringo price because I'm a gringo. But I mean, I think that if I was a Thai person and I lived in this condo, I think it's 8,500 baht. So whatever.
Oh, Jib said the reason the drinks go up, it's a sweet tax on sweetness.
Oh, is it just the drink? Because I was like, oh my God, I'm buying Somtam on friggin' Sukhumvit for 40 baht. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay, that's cool. I'm good with that.
Also, Born Nomad says, no, you're not missing anything, but I'm not allowed to let any fun stuff out as it's all pre-release and would be shot on site if I posted anything from Tenet, etc. Hey, so something was messed up when I went to watch Tenet, man. A lot of the stuff was just playing in reverse. Like, were you guys drinking when you're doing the edit? Sorry, bad joke. Tenet was an awesome movie, though. I fucking loved it. Saw it twice. Greater than 18 grams of sugar per 100 milliliters have to pay 5 baht per liter.
Okay, but like in other words, it's the same price delta for Coke Zero. There's zero sugar in that.
That's actually not true, right? Because it's saccharin, so it's technically like 0.001.
It's not 18 grams of it, that's for sure.
No. It's still actually, and by Thai standards, 18 grams of sugar is probably not a lot.
But my point is, it's all beverages. Like in other words, like the water that used to be 8 bahts now 9 baht, which is nothing. But the Schweppes Manau, that was what I used to buy for 14 baht, and now it's 18 baht.
That definitely has more than 18 grams of sugar per liter. Per 100 milliliters.
I mean, well, wait. The container I buy is, how big are those containers here? They're 8.
That might be 100 milliliters.
8 ounces?
Yeah.
Because they're not 12 like in the U.S.
Born Nolan says he'll ask Christopher Nolan to get a filthy sly look for sure. Actually, I'm a huge Nolan fan, man. Everything he makes, I love. Actually, my buddy Troy, who's CEO of Globish. It's a language company, but he actually went to school for film. And so when he and I hang out, we're both like big into cinema and like movies and stuff, both big nerds about it. So we'll talk about that a lot. And it was right when Tenet came out. It was like the first day. They come out on, I think movies open on Wednesdays here. And it might have been a Thursday. We were hanging out, and he was telling me his dad went to the movies with his mom, and they went to see Tenet because they didn't know what it was. And his dad hates like complicated stories and movies, and he was like, he came back all like, "What the fuck did I just watch? I don't even understand what happened." And I came back home after I watched Tenet. I was like reading, like looking at blog posts. I was like writing down my own thoughts. I mean, Nolan films get you to that point where you're just thinking about it, you're like, damn. And then, Jib is this person who like, Jib remembers everything about every movie like ever. So like if she knows someone who was in it or whatever, she's like, oh, they were in this. And I'll be like, where are they? I don't know. Like the other day we were talking about Around the World in 80 Days, the Jackie Chan version, because it's on Disney Plus. I was like, oh yeah, I want to watch it. I haven't watched it in years. And she's like, oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger was in that. I was like, Arnold Schwarzenegger's not in that movie. And she pulls it up and Arnold Schwarzenegger's in the movie. I'm like, fuck. I should have known not
Really?
to argue because she is never wrong about these things.
About movies, yeah. I can't remember movies to save my life.
Yeah, Tenet was an absolutely phenomenal movie. I loved it so much. It was such a great experience. Like whenever Christopher Nolan movies, for the most part, when you watch them, you're just like, it's always a unique experience. It's like something that you've never experienced in cinema before. And you're just like, wow. Jib says not true, but it is true.
Well, then it must be true.
Yeah. So, he says worked with Nolan and his brother since Inception, bent but really fun stuff. Yeah, Inception was another good one. And I love the Nolan trilogy of the Batman trilogy by Christopher Nolan. His interpretation of Bane is one of my favorites with Tom Hardy.
I was just double checking on something, obviously changing this topic because I'm massive ADD. But I hope that Apple in the future improves the quality of their silly cameras in their laptop. Like you're using your laptop camera right now, right?
Yeah.
And I remember it is so fuzzy. It is horrible. I just went over to the live stream and it's like, holy crap, is he behind a piece of cellophane?
I mean, that bad?
Go to the live. Well, not on this. Well, no, because your monitor is amazing. The what do they call the monitor?
The Retina screen.
Yeah, the Retina, right? You go there. I mean, that you're gonna see. But I'm looking here. I'm like, oh my god, because the camera on my Asus is so friggin' tiny. Not to mention the fact that my entire laptop cost $5.
Yeah.
But I remember having that MacBook Pro, and I had 16 gigs of RAM. It was this great, and it was awesome. It was solid state this, and it weighed like 2 pounds. And then I would do like a friggin' live stream, or I would do a video call, and I'm like, wait, do I have like a neat, like what is on the front of the? I don't know why they cannot put, considering how into audio and video they are. Isn't it? Don't you just find it weird?
It is definitely like the weakest point, especially since they put such baller cameras in their phones and their tablets.
Yes,
but they can't put a camera in the actual laptop.
I don't understand. Hopefully the new ones. How old is your MacBook Pro?
2 years, 3 years.
Okay, maybe? So that's new. Well, 3 years, yeah. But hopefully by now, man.
Hike just woke up, jumping on the stream with us.
What time is it for him? Oh God, it's 6. Yeah, that's true, right?
So here's the thing, right? With the Mac Mini, obviously there's no built-in camera, so I'm gonna have to get something, throw it on there.
Could you use a Logitech?
I could. I just don't want to pull it up and back and forth between upstairs, downstairs, and I won't be filming like really high-end stuff like downstairs. Whereas like I'll use that more for the streams up here. So I might just buy like a 300 baht webcam off of like Lazada, throw it on the Mac.
How much was your
way to backdoor into my computer?
That Logitech's a decent Logitech, right? What do those cost? Like $100?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the over here, especially, right?
Yeah, over here, yeah.
Home, like
if you
Amazon
want the 4K version, the Brio, I think it's like a $250 here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which again, like you can't really use a 4K webcam anywhere, so it doesn't make a difference.
You know what I did notice on this last trip, because I rented a PCX versus just a Click, so it was like bigger motor, but it was also louder.
Yeah.
I think I may actually end up getting the media mod for the 9 because you can turn on just one camera, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. One microphone. Yeah. And so I want to try it, right? But it's like, okay, we're great. So I only turn on the microphone that's facing me and the camera's facing me. But it's like, well, wait a minute. If I'm picking up more motorbike noise, maybe that's coming from this microphone anyway, and not the forward-facing one. So I don't know. I mean, I'm now kind of on the fence about that because it bothered me, the overpowering motorbike noise.
The PCX is a nice bike. It's more comfortable to ride too.
It is more comfortable. It is still uncomfortable.
Hike. Yeah, we were talking about Tenet. Born Nomad worked on the edit for that. So I was wondering why everything. I won't say anything because I don't want to give spoilers. So I'm not gonna. If you haven't seen it, I'm not gonna say anything. leave it at that. But I was teasing about the movie with something that's a integral plot point, and be like, hey, why did it look like this? But no, the media mod's great. I like it. But yeah, the ability to turn on. I don't know if the noise cancellation is as good with the media mod as it is with the built-in microphones.
We should try that. We should actually put both cameras right next to each other and then like drive down the street or something in like little blue or big red.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, empty your mind and go to definitely empty your mind and just be ready to think afterwards. And then Jib says, yeah, she liked it, but it gave her a headache.
I don't remember the last time. I don't even know what the last movie was that I saw.
Now I've got my movie theater seats at home, so.
And are they comfortable? They're not comfortable, right? They're just like
cool. They're as comfortable as they were when they were in the theater. But like we've got the ones from the row we used to sit in our favorite movie theater, so that's kind of cool for us.
Did I send you the picture of when I was over there getting my Gay Earth shirts and they had all of them out? Or did you already?
Yeah.
You already saw that, yeah. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's a cool little spot. You can still get them. I think there's still a few available.
Yeah, what did you say? The ones that are wrapped are sold and the ones that aren't wrapped are available still?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do over here as far as upgrading furniture. I think probably what I should do is I should upgrade my couch because at the end of the day, I do sit on the couch and I watch Netflix. Okay, so I need a comfortable couch.
You Netflix
I think I need to figure out
yourself.
What's that?
You Netflix and chill by yourself.
Yeah, which is kind of a drag, but you know, it's all I can do. The bed, I think I need to upgrade. I really would like a stand-up desk. I think that would be good. I'm considering the one that you have like in your kitchen kind of thing. You know, the one we sit at it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it. I like that. And it's IKEA, right? It's like a couple $100 maybe.
That was about $200 maybe at IKEA, maybe a little less.
Good wood, right? Good quality.
It's solid. So it's pine, right? So it's soft wood, but it's solid wood. It's not veneered.
Yeah. It's not soft pine too. I mean, it's decent. Well,
it's got a finish on it, right? It's not like the unfinished like work tables.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, this is a little little joke about Inception. Do you have a totem? Yes, sci-fi nerds there. I've been working on. I've got to record this week. Actually, I've been writing a sci-fi fictional podcast series. That hopefully I'll record the first episode this week and release it.
It's called War of the Worlds version 2.0.
I'm gonna call it Boron.
You should. I'll tell you what, dude.
It's the name of the character.
The caffeinated podcast. Good. It's good. Put some almond milk in there. Fucking change your life, dude.
I might call it Piranha. I'll see. It's audio only, and I've been writing the sort of concept for it for a couple of years, and so I just started to script out the episodes, and I've got like the first episode's probably 85-90% complete at this point. I'll need to go through it again and tweak it, and I've got like sort of this big mind map of what the world looks like in this future, what the character relations are and stuff. Yeah, this takes place in quite a ways in the future, and there've been countries that existed no longer exist, and so the first episode's a little weird having to like write like give enough background but not make it seem like it's just just me like explaining everything.
Have you picked the year?
Exposition.
Like the year 3000, or like what are you?
Almost 3000, yeah, almost.
So basically 1,000 years from now, 800 whatever.
800 years from now.
I can't even imagine. I mean, go back 800 years. I mean, there wasn't even Boston. Right. Let alone the United States, right? But
the main the main character is basically will be sort of telling the story over a number of episodes sporadically, and the idea that is that he's sending them into the past, And so, but it's in a future where like the US doesn't really exist as it once did. Canada had invaded what was left after sea level rise. And there's all these scientists are supposed to be held up in certain locations, but sea level rise has never sort of receded, and it should have. And so go into a bunch of that over time.
I can't even imagine like what it's going to be like for Euryce. And she's only 40 years younger than I am, basically. Gracie's daughter. Because I remember when I was like 18, 19, and I was starting to, I was into technology and that sort of thing, but I was also starting to learn like how it was all made, like how they actually designed the CD player, like how that worked. And I learned about everything. And I remember being at my grandparents' house, and I asked them some things. I'm like, okay, so when you were born, not even one plane existed. Like people maybe made paper airplanes, but doubtful.
Yeah.
And there were no cars. And now there's too many of them to be able to even get in a car and go where cars are designed to go. Mm-hmm. And I said, and there's like music that magically comes through the air out of boxes in your lip. And I'm like, what's it like having all of that change, all of that stuff, and being able to like walk up to a box and push a button, and then all of a sudden hot food comes out 24 seconds later. I'm like, so I can't even imagine like the fact that this phone, right, like does what it does now and is old. There's got to be something that will be embedded in your body, like at birth. Like you get a birth certificate, and they will inject. I mean, for God's sake, my dog, they injected something into him so when he got lost, people could like use an app on their phone and go boop, over his back because it was RFID. And I'm like, I mean, so, I don't know. There's got to be, hopefully there'll be no more goddamn pandemics.
I think about like that stuff sometimes, and I think back to like growing up, and there was people my age, right? Like in their early 40s were at a time when they were like teenagers. There was no internet, and then all of a sudden there was. Right. And I think that was just an amazing time for that in anyone's life, for that to happen. Right. I was in junior high, and we had like the computer lab, but you really couldn't do anything. You could write programs, make like little games, play little games. There was no real concept of connectivity. And even like AOL and CompuServe were sort of closed systems. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, when I'm in high school, right, this whole concept of like the internet just opens up. And it becomes like overnight, like something completely life-changing. And, I remember like people who like, even my parents, like had no concept of what it was, like didn't understand what it was or how you accessed it or what it did. And now it's become so ubiquitous that like your grandparents know what it is and understand at least that they can access it on their phone. Right. But when I was a kid, it like wasn't even conceivable.
I think for people born now, like Euryce as an example, your daughter as well, from the day they were born, like they logged in.
Yeah.
And
digital natives, right, is the term for that.
Yeah. And I guess I'm trying to think, like, how does that relate to me when I was 11? Electricity. I mean, electricity was pretty much all over the place, always on, very reliable. Automobiles for sure. Planes were a treat, whereas now it's $50 and I fly to fucking Phuket.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think. I mean, just like you were saying, how ubiquitous it is. What is the equivalent level of ubiquitous for a guy who's 50? It was like doing stuff in the 80s. Like what was so ubiquitous in the 80s? FM radio.
Yeah.
People were just becoming. That was.
Walkmans were probably the big tech when you were a teenager.
And here's what's interesting about that. Walkmans were the tech that was like, it was kind of a treat in the sense that I had to buy a Walkman with my own money and not let my parents know that I had it. It was that kind of thing. Kind of like when you're like 8 years old. It's like, well, an 8-year-old really shouldn't have an iPhone. It's like, but if a 13-year-old girl like doesn't have an iPhone, it's like, are you from Zimbabwe? Like, did you just come here? Like, are you familiar with colored television? I mean, it's just so it's very realistic. Like getting a bike, right? Like getting a bike when you're like 1-year-old, that's ridiculous. But if you're like 10 years old and you haven't learned how to ride a bike, it's like, oh my God, where are you from?
Yeah,
you know. And it's that, and I'm talking. I mean, and this is Eurice, dude. Like, okay, she has more sophisticated electronics in her hand when she's at her farm than her dad does, who is farming the rice with a buffalo and a hoe. He doesn't have a motor propelled, like the gasoline engine has been around for a while, but this guy has a giant carabao with ropes wrapped around its neck that is like making the rice you and I ate like yesterday.
Yeah, no doubt.
She's got,
iPhone.
Crazy.
It's definitely crazy how tech has changed everything. I think, as much as I dog like Bitcoin and like crypto and blockchain and all that, I think blockchain is going to lead to some advances that become ubiquitous and that people take for granted in the next 20 years for sure.
It already has. I mean, think about how easy and quickly and reliably it is to move money from one bank to another via something like TransferWise.
Yeah, that's true. That's all. Yeah, blockchain built.
Yeah, it's the blockchain technology. I think is awesome. The coin bullshit is just nonsense. That, quite frankly, is squelching the technology. I think.
I would agree, and all the people who I know who are like crypto crazy, definitely interesting individuals. Some of them. Again, like we know a startup that was going to do a coin at one point.
But see, they should have drop shipped. If you could drop ship, big money.
It would have made a lot more money.
Of course. What time is it? I'm tired.
7:42. Yeah, I've got to run out in a bit. Actually, I got a client call at 8, so it's a good
dude,
time
you gotta go. I gotta drive my
Demolition Man reference. I've got to throw that up there. In the future, all restaurants will be Taco Bell. I just watched that the other day. Great movie. One of my favorites. I watched Point Break the other day too. Jib's like, oh, I don't think I've seen it. We start to watch it. She's like, oh, I've seen it.
With Keanu Reeves?
And, Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. One of the great, directed by Catherine Bigelow. One of the greatest movies ever made.
I think I've seen it, but I don't remember movies I saw yesterday.
Fantastic film. All right, guys. Anyway, I have a client call in 18 minutes, and Mike is hours past his bedtime.
I gotta pack still.
The nurse is going to show up in 5 minutes, give him his blue pill to let him go to bed.
Those put you to sleep?
No, sorry. Blue pill, something else. Yeah. Or our friend Tony Hughes says he takes it every day.
God, the headaches. I can't even imagine. Poor guy.
Yeah. All right, guys. Until next time, stay strange.
Peace.